Hello, I am Tim Carns, one of your GMI missionaries, along with my wife Tina. And I was asked by Alex if I would share a little bit about the ministry that the Lord has been doing through us in training pastors overseas. Tina and I have been married. We just passed our 32nd anniversary. And in fact, I have a picture of my family here who are, this is about a year old, but I have 5 children and 7 grandchildren now, just in the Lord's kindness. All of them 5 years old and younger. My oldest daughter has 2 sets of twins. And so, as you can imagine, we're pretty busy helping out with them as well. So this is my family that God has allowed, and two of my two oldest are married, and my 3 younger children are all in their 20s, but not yet married, serving the Lord in various churches that they're involved in. And through a long course of events that I could not describe and explain in 5 or 10 minutes, the Lord led me from the field of engineering into the ministry about nearly 20 years ago. I served as pastor at Calvary Bible Church in Burbank for a number of years. And while I was there, the Lord just opened my heart, moved my heart to want to be involved in training men overseas. And so for a while, beginning in 2014, I was doing that part-time where I was still on staff at Calvary, but also training overseas. And that just became too difficult to do both. And so the Lord had allowed, actually last year and a half ago during 2020, for me to be able to transition to full-time training. And so that's what I've been doing, primarily in Southeast Asia and the Philippines, working with Sean and Jessica, and the others that are there, and focusing primarily on modular training, where I would go for several weeks at a time and teach pastors and church leaders. And my focus there has been on expository preaching. So I teach them how to study the word on their own, and then how to put a sermon together and preach that effectively. And over time, the Lord has opened up other doors. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I met a man at one of the churches that we work with in the Philippines, Higher Rock in Manila. And I met a man there who was from Pakistan, and he was attending church there while he was going to seminary in Manila. And he was going there because there wasn't any solid training opportunities where he lived in Pakistan. And so I met him there, and I would see him each time I visit and do training there in the Manila area. And so he would ask me several times, can you come and do training in Pakistan? I know many pastors there who have great needs and would love to receive the training. And the Lord just circumstances, he did not work those things out until it was during COVID, actually, when the Lord provided opportunity. I had transitioned to full-time training. And at the same time, Pastor Morris is his name, went back to Pakistan. He had finished his seminary training, and we were able to coordinate and start a training ministry in Pakistan. And there's about, in fact, I have a couple of pictures here and thought I would show you. This is a picture, a recent picture of some of the men who are involved in the training. There's about 36 total who are involved. I don't know if they're all pictured here. And they're holding up a syllabus. What we do is we have them, they gather together in one location, and then I'm able to, along with Devraj Urs, who's another missionary in the Philippines, together we're able to teach these men every 5 or 6 weeks for a 3-day mini module. And in fact, here's my viewpoint of them. This is what I see, and then this is what they are seeing as they're looking at me on the screen teaching. So it's not ideal, but it is what the Lord has allowed and provided. And so we're able actually to, in a country that is closed to missionaries, able to do this training ministry with them. And we've been doing it now, I think, about 6 months or so, something like that. And in that time, we've been able to develop relationships not only with these pastors and church leaders, but we've also done several conferences. I just did a conference with them in the same way that Pastor Morris gathered several pastors and church leaders from the underground churches in the northern areas of Pakistan, along with about 50 Afghani refugees those who have fled Afghanistan from the persecution and are now trying to find help in Pakistan. And that tells you how bad it is in Afghanistan if you are fleeing to Pakistan for safety. And so I had the privilege to be able to speak to a number of them in a couple of months ago at a conference where they gathered together, and then I spoke over Zoom. And so been able to do that several times, been able to conduct a preaching conference online. What's exciting though for me, and the thing I really want to share with you and ask your prayers for, is that in a couple of weeks, I'll be at the end of January, I'll be traveling to Pakistan. We're getting to the point in our preaching training where they're going to actually be preaching their sermons. I've assigned them passages, and they're going to preach those passages, and then they'll be evaluated. And so I wanted to be there in person for that, but also too, as a way to encourage them. They feel very isolated with all that they suffer and all that they go through. And I think just having someone come really means a lot to them. In fact, this says nothing about me, but when I told them that I would be coming, I told the men in the class last month that I'd be coming, they stood up and cheered. So it's not because I'm anything, but I think that just to me spoke like how much they appreciate other brothers and sisters around the world. And so all the time I'm telling them how there are many of us here in America praying for them, and that means a lot to them. It'll mean a lot to them when I tell them that you ladies are praying for them and for what they're doing. So I'll be leaving, Lord willing, the 27th of January. I'll be there until February 14th. And I'll be doing the preaching labs with them, but then also conducting some conferences in Islamabad, in Lahore. I'll be able to visit some of the Afghanistan refugees in person and be able to preach at several churches while I'm there. So please be praying for that. Obviously, I would ask for your prayers for safety, but even more importantly, just that the Lord would use the training, use this trip to encourage those who are there, to encourage Pastor Morris, which, by the way, let me show you a picture of him just so you can. This is Pastor Morris, just an incredible man of God. There's a lot of stories I wish I could share with you, but time doesn't permit. Perhaps at another time. Just the boldness and the courage that he's displayed in a very, very difficult place. So if you could pray for Pastor Morris and his wife Nomi, they are two precious saints, and he's been instrumental in coordinating much of the effort there and the training that we are doing. And one other neat thing, this will just show you Pastor Morris's heart. As we're giving them training on how to study the Bible and teach it, he now in his church, here's a picture of him training the women at his church. Think about that. In Pakistan and many of the Muslim countries, women are not afforded the same opportunities as men in many areas, and even in the church. And here Morris just shows his heart to want God's people to know his word. And he's here doing some teaching. He does this, I think, every week with the women there. So these are the ripple effects, of what the Lord's able to do as these pastors are trained, and then as they go and train those in their church. And the desire is that they would eventually be training other men. There's about 36 men who are in the preaching program, and they all have pretty good English skills. And so they're from 14 different cities around the country. And so the idea is to invest and train these men so that they will then be able to take that training to others in their areas, in their regions. So again, I wish I could share with you, there's so much more in my heart, but if you could just, again, please be praying for my trip, praying for Pastor Morris and his family. By the way, a couple of days ago, they received another threat over the phone, an anonymous threat that if he doesn't stop handing out Bibles and teaching about Jesus, that there would be consequences. And many things like that have taken place. So just please pray for he and his family. He's got 4 children, and pray also for the men, the pastors, and the leaders involved in the training. Thank you so much. Just thank you. I really appreciate that. If you want to get more updates from the ministry that we're doing with TMEI, then you can go to pastors, plural, trainingministry.com. That's a website that's got all of our updates that we send out. And if you're interested in getting those yourself, if you could just contact me, I don't know, maybe through Alex or someone, and just give me your email address. I'd be happy to send you those. I keep them short, just a couple pictures, a couple paragraphs, just to keep people aware, and then our prayer requests too. So God bless you so much. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to your brothers and sisters around the world, knowing that you are praying for them. So I would like to just say, God bless you.